period. On my black, brown, and indigenous. Gotta holler if you really feeling this. Gotta holler if you really real enough. Other rappers is delirious. Yeah, it's really that serious. Better holler if you really feeling me. I gotta keep it 100, ayy. If you don't like it, then fuck it, ayy. We gonna win in the end, yeah, we gonna live in abundance. I gotta keep it 100, ayy. If you don't like it, then fuck it, ayy. We gonna win in the end, yeah, we gonna. I gotta keep it 100. We gotta stop all the stunting. You know we coming from nothing. Yo, you talking about money, you bluffing. We gotta do something different. We gotta change how we live in. We gotta do better for women. We gotta do better for children. We gotta listen to victims, whether Jewish or Muslim or Christian. It doesn't matter your religion. You gotta stand against the system, or else you just another villain. How you just sitting there chilling?
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Nismah Jabari, and we are back. Oh man, sorry about that. We are back, and don't forget to like, share, and follow the Jabari Vlog podcast on every single thing wherever you get your podcasts at. And about the time this is taped, I'd love to announce that I am going to also be doing live streams very soon on IG as well too. Which is something that I'm very, very excited about, because I've been trying to figure out how to get my content on IG without, all the interference of you can't post over an hour or something like that. So that's going to work. I'm very happy that StreamYard got it going on. So you're going to see IG more live content. Get excited for that as well too. So without further ado, before I introduce my guests, I want to also give a huge shout out to all the Gen Z nation and the millennials on TikTok, everybody out there and all of the social media platforms that's talking about Palestine. Thank you so much for doing that, and keep on going. The last episode I did was another music episode with Erica. Shouts out to Erica. Definitely check that out. And we have another episode coming out real soon with my sister, Chandra Shabazz, who's aka Mel the Empress. Be on the lookout for that as well too. A lot of great musical content. And I want to also thank New Haven Arts Council for the physical sponsorship this year. You helped me so much, and I'm overwhelmed with the gratitude. So thank you so much, New Haven Arts Council, and I hope we can keep the relationship going. Without further ado, let's get into our next guest. We have Nismah, she wears many hats. So we're going to have a great conversation, and I hope people get their pens and pads out. As a fellow musician, I'm already going to have my pen and pad out as well too. And let's get some information. Let's learn, guys. Let's learn. Hello.
Hey. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you so much for coming on the show. I tell you, I check Matchmaker a lot now, as much as I should be checking, because I don't want to miss out on great interviews like you. Because when I looked at your background, and I'm just like, wow, there's a lot I can learn here from Nismah. Let's get her on the show.
Well, thank you. I'm excited to be here. Let's get into it.
Well, how did you get started into the music business itself? What inspired you?
Yeah, so I've been doing music. Well, I'll say that, I've been writing songs, air quotes there, since I was a kid, really, like 7 or 8. I kind of got bit by the music bug and just started experimenting with writing songs. I mean, they were obviously terrible, as good as a 7 or 8-year-old can write, but they were songs, and they were my artistic expression. And then, I just kind of became not necessarily obsessed with it, but I really connected with songwriting and music. And so I just kept going down that path. And, I taught myself piano. We had this old upright piano just sitting in our garage that somebody had kind of, we stored it for somebody, and I just would go out and I would tinker on that. And so then I I taught myself piano that way, and then it was guitar, and then I got into high school and I started getting into reading music and recording music and self-producing. And I actually
Mhm.
my first time going to a recording studio, I would think I was in like 7th grade. So I just kind of had this like tunnel vision for music since a young age, and it just one thing just kept leading to another, and here we are all these years later.
Wow, that's awesome. So would you say that you're basically like musically like a prodigy in that sort? Because that's what it definitely sounds like.
No, not a
No?
prodigy. I mean, I have my strengths, and my weaknesses, but not a prodigy by any means. Just really connected to music and, good at it, of course, but I've definitely had to work to build up the muscles and the skills that have gotten me where I am now.
Now, where are you currently based out of?
Right now I'm in Western Massachusetts, about an
Oh,
hour north of Springfield. So we're not far from each other. Yeah.
what's the music scene like out there? Do you have like a lot of artists under your belt?
So there's a robust music scene out here. It's more of a live music scene. I haven't performed since COVID. COVID
Mm,
made me like kind of move my focus toward music production and songwriting, and I've
mm,
been there ever since. But it's a really great indie music scene. There's a lot of really cool music coming from here, and there's actually a couple bigger names who of course are escaping me right now, but they're out here and doing some cool stuff. And it's a really intense scene for education. So there's a lot of universities and colleges that bring great music and culture to the area. So yeah, it's a cool spot.
yeah, I always say that, music wise in New England, it's definitely different from other regions around the states.
Hmm.
Um, and we just haven't gotten that, like, I feel like we haven't gotten that buzz yet, or
Hmm.
that kind of like deserved recognition. I mean, we do have like what's the guy from Fairfield? I can't even think of his name right now.
From where?
From Fairfield. I can't even think of his name right now. He's a country singer. I can't even think of his name right now. He'll come to me.
Well,
He
John
used to
Mayer's
date
from
Katy Perry.
Connecticut.
Yeah,
Not
John
bad.
Mayer. That's
Yeah,
what I'm
yeah,
talking about. Yes,
yeah.
yeah. So I'm from Bridgeport, Connecticut. So I'm literally like right next to Fairfield where John Mayer grew up. But
Oh,
we don't
cool.
really have that, like, we don't have that many
Yeah.
like John Mayers. And there's so much talented people here in New England. Like,
Hmm.
with my band, we performed all over New York and all over Massachusetts. And I think that the world's missing out. We're talented, and there's so many artists and so many musicians that
Totally.
just need that
Yeah.
exposure.
Yeah, the exposure. And I mean, I lived in Boston for a while. I went to school out there, excuse me, out there, and the music scene out there is growing. And I used to work at a place called the Record Company. Shout out to them. Uh,
Hmm.
they actually do really great work bringing low cost recording and rehearsal spaces to the Boston area. And so they're a big player in growing that Boston music scene to a point where it is sustainable for artists to kind of grow there, because it's so expensive to live there
Right.
that you end up, unless you have financial support from friends and family, or otherwise, you're really just kind of getting by. So anyway, yeah, props to the Boston and New England music scene, and our day will come.
Yeah. Yeah, man, I like that. And there's also like housing in Bridgeport as well too. That's like discounted for artists as well too.
Oh, cool.
Um, yeah, like it's so, like you said, like the cost of living is just so freaking like skyrocket.
Yep.
So these are great things to have, especially for artists who, a lot of artists are broke a lot.
Yeah,
I mean, you spend
totally.
so much money, which is where we're going to get into. Hopefully, you can give us some advice,
Yeah, absolutely.
because we spend so much money on just trying to get out there. Um, and like yourself, I have taken like a little small back pedal after COVID, with performing and everything like that. And notice that there are artists that are trying to get back into it, and
Mhm.
the economy is totally different now. So it's very, very like tough, just
Yeah,
for just the cost of living. So artists need these type of like things to be able to
absolutely.
to create.
Absolutely.
Yeah. The convention. So let's start with the first part. When it comes to the issues with conventional music marketing methods
Yep.
and better alternatives. I
Yeah.
know that's a lot, but
I love to talk about this.
let's do
I
it.
talk about it all the time, and I to the point that I annoy people, but um, hopefully somebody gets something out of this. So basically, I like to kind of step back and question everything.
Hmm.
And one of the things that drives me insane for myself and for other artists is just how difficult it is to break past the noise of
Right.
the immense amount of competition. And I'm when I talk about traditional music marketing methods, I'm thinking about posting to social media, whether it be TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, whatever, everybody's got their favored platforms. And then just really trying to drive people to stream your music on usually Spotify, but Apple, whatever. And the reason why that doesn't work or why it's so difficult is because it's number 1, streaming, and I don't know if you heard about the Spotify update about the minimum streaming threshold. I'll tell you about
Yeah.
it in a second. I don't wanna get on too much of a tangent, but at
Yeah.
streaming, it takes a lot of upfront investment of time, money, and energy to see a return on streaming because
Right.
of how little the streaming royalty payout is.
Right.
So, and now to touch on what I just mentioned, Spotify recently announced that they have changed their model in such a way that artists are not going to be eligible to be paid out for their streams if they have anything under 1,000 streams.
Yep.
So, and honestly, that's not a lot of money because 1,000 streams only earns you about 3 cents.
Right.
But, cumulatively and otherwise, it can impact you. And it's just goes to show that streaming, they're working to make it, they're saying they're trying to make it more equitable, but really, I mean, you can look at the direction it's going. They're not making it more profitable or easier to find success. So
Right.
the issues that I see are really that people are in this overly crowded music market with over 50,000 songs uploaded to Spotify per
Yeah.
day, right? So to say there's a lot of competition is an understatement.
Yeah.
And then you're just doing the same thing as everybody else. You're posting to social media, you're begging people to stream your songs for literal pennies if you even can get the 1,000 streams, right? And you're just kind of a sitting duck in the water, just waiting to be ousted by somebody who has the resources, time, and cleverness to outmaneuver you and steal your audience. So those are the issues I see, and it pains me. I refrain from doing that because it's a
Right.
waste. It feels like a waste of time to me, and
Hmm.
I use alternative methods like music licensing and Facebook ads and things like that to generate income. And I'd be happy to kind of share how I do that.
Yeah. Before we go to that, do you know
Yeah.
if Spotify is making more money off of or off of our streams, even if it's less than 1,000?
So
Like,
no. And there's a great article I'll share with you after
mhm,
this, and you can send it out if people want to read it. It's from Spotify themselves, and basically what they're saying is they're not taking those pennies. They're saying that they're redistributing those pennies to musicians whose music streams over 1,000, right?
so
Which
basically they're paying artists that for our content. Like
Right, exactly. Yeah. And
that's
they're
not cool.
saying because cumulatively, I mean, 3 cents is not a lot of money, it's like a nothing, right? But cumulatively, those songs that amass less than 1,000 streams, it comes to like $40 million or something.
Wow.
So it's a lot of money that's getting lost in the system because it can't really pay you out. uh Typically you have to earn like a minimum threshold to be paid out anyway. So what they're saying is nobody's seeing that money anyway. Let's just redistribute it to the people who are earning more than 1,000 streams. So if you have 1,001 streams, then you
Yeah.
start to earn money, right? So, but yeah, it's I see both sides totally, and from a business
Hmm.
perspective, on paper it works, but how it plays out in real life and if it has any real tangible if it makes any real tangible difference on those artists above 1,000 streams, I don't know. We'll see.
So let's get into. So we already know the issues with Spotify, which is the biggest platform. I'm a more of a title guy,
Hmm.
but I understand that people like Spotify more and stuff. But
Yeah,
I'm loyal to title.
good.
um, but what? So you mentioned that there are alternatives, and
Mhm.
so with let's start with the first alternative, which is the other big demigod in the room, which I use a lot whenever I don't get zucked. I haven't gotten zucked in a while, so that's good. Thank you, Zuckerberg, for not zucking me. How can we use Facebook as an alternative to build in revenue?
Yeah, I love that question. So essentially, one of the one of the most important aspects of having a successful music business that is artist to fan based, um, is being able to reach your fans directly on your terms. So, what I mean by that is not being reliant on an algorithm
Mm,
to communicate with your people. And the way that you do that best is to collect people's actual contact information
mm,
via, you know, it could be their email address, ideally their phone number, one of those two direct contact methods, most likely their email address, right? People are
mhm.
more hesitant to give away their phone numbers these days.
Right.
But if you collect that information, you have now a direct line of contact with them that's not reliant on an algorithm. You send an email, somebody opens it and reads it, right? That's it. It's as simple as that. And email, they call that this process email marketing, and
Mhm.
email marketing is actually to this date the most effective marketing tool that there is, and all major
Wow.
companies use it. Absolutely. It seems crazy because like
Yeah.
the technology we have today keeps evolving, but yet
Right.
email marketing. The simple concept of email marketing is still the most effective marketing tool today. So what I encourage people to do is to, instead of just posting on social media to try to get people to follow you and stream your music, right? Rather, if you can, save up a little bit of money, take a couple, Google or YouTube some videos on how to run Facebook ads. It's fairly simple, but you need a little bit of guidance. Then run what I call a lead generation campaign. And a lead generation campaign is something that you have like a 30-second clip of your music or something, and you tell Facebook who to send it to. And Facebook's really, really good at finding people who will resonate with what you're selling, so to speak, if you give it the
Mhm.
right information. And
Okay.
then instead of having people just go right to your Spotify or your title or whatever and stream your song, you have them give you their contact information. And then you build slowly over time an email list. And that email list is going to become your true fan base. And the best thing about it is that you would now have direct contact with those people and you're not reliant on an algorithm. And what you do, how you use that email list is you build a relationship with those people. We call it nurturing in the email marketing world. You nurture your audience by just talking to them. Maybe you send them a weekly or a monthly update. You send them, you just be honest, be a person, right? Don't be salesy and all that. But then every once in a while, especially if you've really connected with the right people, you do
Mhm.
offer things for purchase, right? You offer maybe some merch, or you tell them, hey, I'm going to be playing a show, or I'm going to be doing a live show. Why don't you come on in? Tickets are $10. Or a lot, I see a lot of artists, they are offering subscription model support, for their fans, where they'll pay like $10 a month and they'll get, access to, merch or, early releases and things like that. People get all sorts of creative with the stuff that they offer their fans. But that's how you start to actually build a sustainable income from music. And the best part, again, I can't say this enough, is that it's yours. You own it. The email list is yours. You're not reliant on an algorithm. You're not reliant on Zuck to to make things work in your favor, right? I mean, you're using his ad system, but that's great because it's working for you now. And so and also, of course, those people will stream your music because they like you. They like your music, right? But it's another way to build that relationship directly with your fans to start actually earning income. And people who love your music, they want to support you. They want to give you their money. They really do. They just they don't know how to support you besides streaming your music, right?
Right.
So it's a great way to help people help you, so to speak.
Yeah, I mean that's definitely like a good idea. I never really thought of it because I'm like always focused on the streaming part, which was just something that the band that I was in, we were very focused on that. But also we were also thinking of like marketing ideas. But it's a band. It's hard to get everybody on the same page and be like, hey, go on TikTok and make a post about this or get more interactive with your fans and stuff. Everybody has different lives.
Yep.
I'm the youngest one. I'm 31. People in their 40s, 50s, they change over time. They're like, dude, I got all these priorities. But to do it yourself, I think, would you say the first start would be make a post, communicate with people, get their emails, and like just baby steps.
Absolutely. Start for free.
You do it on IG as well too, right?
Yeah. You don't need to start. I don't recommend running paid ads today, right? Like start with the audience that you have already. If you have followers on the various platforms, reach out to them, say, hey, I'm starting this email list. If you sign up to the email list, you get a free sticker or whatever. I don't know. Get creative, right? Incentivize it, right? And then you're gonna it's gonna be a small, humble start. You might get 10, 15, 20, 30 people, but trust me, those 30 people, they will support you. They will show up for you if you give them the chance. And then you start growing, and Facebook ads, if you do them really well and you learn how to do them really well, you can also hire someone to do this for you relatively inexpensively on sites like Fiverr and stuff. The Facebook ads, they're not super, super expensive. I've run campaigns where I've gotten leads for less than $2 a lead, right? So if you think about the math, right? If I have, if I get 100 leads for $2, whatever, I've spent $200, but those are 100 people, people that can now pay me eventually over time, and I'll recoup that investment over and over.
Yeah, I've done that. I've dropped a 5 here and there on certain podcast episodes and stuff, and it definitely brings in leads. And I invite those people to look at my content, and I communicate with them. You're definitely giving me the idea about doing like stickers or something like merch and stuff. I think that could be the next step. I mean, it definitely helps. But I keep thinking about Spotify. Would you think that the CD game should never been destroyed?
Like physical CDs?
Yeah, like I think the CD game should have never been destroyed if this is the case for artists. Because
I mean, here's what I think. Here's like my honest opinion, right? Back when it was CDs, pre-streaming, it was a lot harder to develop yourself as an artist and develop and build a fan base. So in a sense, what I would say is the industry was much more gate kept, right? Because you had to have money and like the means to get a distributor. Like, you could go on CD Baby and get a CD printed, but it was you kind of just throwing them at people on the street, right? So now, but what Spotify and the streaming platforms did was basically give all the artists a global platform for free. You know, I mean, it's not free to distribute music, but it's not expensive. You know, DistroKid is like charges, I think, $40 a year or something. It's very affordable. But with that access comes a lot of competition, right? So in a sense, it's helped us, but it's also created this challenge of now there's so much more competition, and now the challenge is figuring out how to kind of move yourself above the noise.
How does YouTube play in this? YouTube has changed so much. Is it artist friendly still, or are they more curating to non-musical creators?
You know, to be honest, I feel like the music video has died a little bit. And unless you're using YouTube Shorts, which I think is a thing, it's like a TikTok version of YouTube,
right?
To reach your potential audience, I don't know that YouTube has much value unless you're doing some sort of educational content. So I think YouTube is it's kind of become like YouTube University. You go to YouTube to learn how to do things. But to be honest, I have never tried my hand directly at YouTube. So I'm only speaking from, my reasoning. I'm not speaking from experience.
No, that's totally fine. I was thinking the same thing with YouTube, because I'm like seeing like what value do they have for artists really. Like no one really watches music videos as much as we used to back in the day.
Yeah.
And they're very, very strict just to become partner with them and stuff like that. Yeah. It's ever changing with them. Not to say that Facebook is not as bad too, but Facebook is more lenient in that type of regard than YouTube is. What other social media platforms have you worked with?
Recently, I'm experimenting with LinkedIn. It's kind of like the hot thing of today, but again, I think it's more corporate, it has more of a corporate vibe, and it's less of a, let me share my music vibe. I'm sure if you played your cards right and, learned the system, I'm sure some smart person has figured it out. But that's the only one really that I have recently started, learning how to leverage. The other ones, like I said, I don't post to social media unless it's very practical. I mostly use sync licensing and Facebook ads to earn income from music.
So with this system, what precautions do you take to protect yourself, especially as an artist that's doing exactly what they need to do to grow? What kind of precautions should they have while they continue to pursue these engagements and build their fan base?
So I think I understand your question, but I'm going to answer it in a way that's probably not what you're expecting. The precaution that I always take is know what I'm talking about. And I do that by researching extensively before I do anything. So, and there's definitely a case for just kind of not overthinking it and doing things, and it's fine. Things are going to be fine, but I prefer to really dig my teeth into something and understand how it works on a very basic level and all the intricacies. And that way it kind of helps me to make intentional decisions about what I'm doing. So for example, if I wanted to start, learning how to do Facebook ads, I would probably research, I did research how to do Facebook ads for hours. And I think I even took a course, like not an expensive one, but I just make sure that I have all the pieces of information as much as I can reasonably, right, without driving myself insane, before I just go ahead and throw my money at something or throw my time and energy at something. And so that has worked really well for me. So yeah, that's what I would say is if you're interested in learning more about this, then do your research, read, find a mentor, somebody who can guide you and help you kind of avoid some of those pitfalls.
Yeah, that was kind of the question I was asking. I know it sounded kind of weird, but I do know that like some people have yelled at me and would be like, "Oh my God, I don't do it. I don't do ads no more because I spent too much money on it. And I'm like, there has to be something that we're doing incorrectly
Right.
on why we're not seeing the return with
Yep.
how much we are investing.
Yep.
That's basically what was the gist of the question.
Yeah, absolutely.
What adjustments should they make if it's a person that's like for instance, for me, 500 followers on Facebook, and over like almost 2,000 on IG, I think last time I checked. But you see the engagement, which is the most important part for people that are listening. Engagement is very, very important if you want to like understand social media. People always look at likes and views, which those are important too, but you got to look at engagement. You got to see how good the engagement is. If the engagement start going low, God forbid, and you're doing the same methods, how does someone try to check and see what else to do better so they can get more leads?
I mean, like any business does, test a bunch of different things. I think a lot of
to fail.
Absolutely, of course. No, failing is part of the process. That's what I think people don't realize. And I was going to say this is when you're doing this music thing, but it's a business, right? It's a business like any other thing where you're trying to make money, right? There's a business, and businesses have systems. And in every business, there's a process where whether you're testing a new toy or you're testing a new car or whatever it is, there's always this built-in buffer for failure, because learning is part of the process, and you only learn by doing things wrong, right? I mean, you learn by doing things correctly too, but I think you learn more by making a mistake because you know what not to do now, and so you can apply that to your next attempt. So failure is not only okay, but it's necessary. It's a necessary part of the growth process. And if you failed, it means that you're one failure less, or one failure closer to being successful, right? So, and then it's just a matter of saying, okay, well, how many times do I need to fail to be successful, right? How many iterations of this do I need to create before I find the one that sticks? It's just that too many people give up after the first or second failure, and they think, all right, well, I tried, but that's not how you really grow.
So like, instead of for examples, like instead of like doing like a pop-up Tuesdays, and you're starting to see that the pop-up Tuesdays aren't getting as much traffic as you want, so you think of doing like releasing clips every single Thursday, maybe in the evening time, and see how that goes. And
absolutely
just
test it all. Yeah. And all this too, I always caution people, keep in mind, what is your objective? What is your goal, right? And this goes back to the email marketing and the email thing that I was talking about, is why are you posting? Like, why do you click submit? Is it because you want to get new followers? Okay, great. You got new followers. Now what? What you can't take followers to the bank and trade them for cash.
No.
What's your plan, right?
Right.
What's the point? What's the point of any of it, right? So if you're gaining new followers so that you can reach them again in the future, okay, what do you want to reach them with? To what end? What's the purpose? You know what I mean? Or is it just to get stuck in this loop of posting and getting followers, and hoping some of them stream your music and pay you money? That's like not a way to run a business, So you have to be intentional with the decisions you're making, even though everybody's doing it. Because everybody's doing it, you have to be that much more intentional, because there's so much more competition. I hope I'm making sense.
No, you are. Is it worth the blue checks now?
I don't even know if that matters anymore. I feel like everything has a blue check now, that it's become like whatever. Okay, great. Like your ID was verified. Great. Okay, you're a real person. Congrats. Like you're a legal entity or whatever it is. I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know.
I was wondering if there's anything that helps with that, to like to build your base, but it seems like that's just not possible anymore.
Yeah. I mean, I would love to talk about the music licensing for a second, just because I
Yeah,
think it's so overlooked. And
right.
this is kind of my specialty. You know, music licensing is, for those who don't know what it is, it's the music that you hear on TV shows and movies and stuff. And it's a really, really, really excellent source of income for independent artists. And it's a great way to fund your other music ventures. So let's say you want to start running these Facebook ads or Instagram ads, but you don't have the cash, right? Music licensing is a great way to start earning that income. So basically what it is you make music and you submit it to what's entities called music licensing agencies. And these
Mhm.
agencies are basically, they're companies who curate catalogs of music that work for these film and TV and ad spots, we call them. So it's the TV show and the ad. And then they pitch your music for these paid opportunities. And then if yours gets selected, you get paid. Obviously, it's not something where you get success overnight. Like anything,
Right.
you have to put in the grunt work. You have to, you have to deliver good quality music consistently for a while. But the returns are incredible because you only have to make the songs once, and then they keep landing what we call placements, which is when your song is chosen. They keep landing those placements over and over and over. And it's great because you literally sit back and do nothing except watch the money come in. And these placements, they range anywhere from like $500 all the way up to like 100K plus, right? I mean, those bigger fish are harder to get, obviously, but
Mhm.
there's a lot of money in between there, and it's got to go to somebody, and it might as well go to you.
Mm. Yeah, that was going to be a question I was going to ask because I think that's very important. We also have our music license as well too,
Oh, cool.
and after going through that process, and I forgot what it was the lead singer that did it.
Okay.
I
Smart
I
guy.
can't even mention
Smart
the
person.
websites or anything, but he did it. So Eric Rabaska, shouts out to Eric Rabaska. I definitely was like looking into that, and I was like, wow. I mean, I don't know if anyone is ever going to use our songs, but if they do, this is really really great to have, especially on the fact that you never know someone tries to like steal your music and stuff. At least you
Yeah,
have proof that hey, this is licensed. What are you doing? All this stuff like that.
absolutely. Yeah.
And like people, but then the also issue is like, is TikTok taking that like licensing away with artists putting their stuff on TikTok and people are using it to react? Like, could that
No.
hurt us as well too?
So that's separate. So the TikTok
Mm-hmm.
music licensing is like small streaming licensing.
Mm-hmm.
The music licensing that I'm talking about is like the music you hear on like Target commercials, like the
Mm.
big time, right?
Okay.
So music licensing, sync licensing is another term for it. Sync is short for
Okay.
synchronization. So that's like, really, you're talking about the film, TV, and ad industry where
Okay.
they happen to be using music, right? And that's like the big kahunas, right? Like
That's
there's
what you want.
millions of dollars. Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's what you want. That's what I do regularly. That's what I teach and provide
Mm-hmm.
guidance and mentorship on. Um, but that's like, those are the big players. They're working with millions of dollars. They're serious. They're paying out these licenses because it's the law, so it's a much different game than people, using your song in their TikTok.
What agencies would you recommend for artists? Do you have
I mean, I
like a
can't. I work with certain agencies. I can't
mm-hmm.
say it just because it so depends. There's so many agencies.
Mm-hmm.
But for example, like if you were to join one of my programs, one of the things I'm excited to bring to artists is that, so it's a year-long program, and 4 times a year I bring in my licensing agencies to the program, and you
Mm.
get to pitch your music directly to them.
Mm.
So it's, I'm bringing you and the agency together, form that relationship.
Mm.
But that said, um, if you're interested in this, you need to do a little bit of research because every agency is a little different. They specialize in something a little different, right? They're not all one-stop shops. So you need it. The reason I can't say it, it's not because I don't want to say it and gatekeep the information. It's
Yeah.
just I don't want to send you somewhere when your music wouldn't fit for it, right? So
Right.
the best advice I can give is just do a little bit of research on different music licensing agencies and kind of listen to their catalog and see what kind of music they use and if yours would be a good fit.
Last question, because
Yeah.
we're getting down to the wire here. And I hope everyone's listening. Pay attention. Let's talk about like jingles. What is the value of writing jingles? Is it still a good thing to do, or is it like a gatekeeping
No, I mean jingles are kind of in the same, like I would put them under the same umbrella as sync licensing. But the thing about jingles is there's a huge market on local radio for jingles. I actually took a course on this in college. It's so funny that you're bringing this up. So if you don't want to do the sync licensing thing, you don't want to do the streaming thing, but you want to write custom songs, they're not going to be good songs. They're going to be jingles, right? But you could start by listening to the radio, right? Which like nobody does anymore, right? Listen to the local radio stations, listen to the commercials, right? And listen for the jingles that are already there. Those companies, right? It means that those companies have paid for those jingles previously. So there's a good chance that they'll pay to get an updated one, right? So let's say you listen to the radio for a couple of hours, write down all the names of the companies who used jingles in their ads, right? Contact every single one of them and say, hey, I'm a local singer-songwriter. I write music. I write custom music. I heard your jingle on the radio. I have some ideas for a new one, right? See if you get a response. I guarantee you, if you reach out to 100, you're going to get one back that says, let's talk, So that's a great way to kind of get into that field. And they actually pay really well. So it depends on the size of the company. Yeah. They'll pay anywhere between $500 to $10,000 sometimes, depending on the size of the company. Yeah. It's a good little gig.
I should tell people about this.
Yeah, totally.
Because, you think about jingles and, like I've noticed a lot of artists, like they have joked about, hey, I should write a jingle for that or something like that. Like, go ahead, do it. And like, I don't think they'll care. Like, no one really noticed about.
Do it. Yeah. And you have to remember, these local businesses, they don't know anything about music. They don't know anything about advertising. They're just like, they just want to get their, they have ad money that they have to spend. And so they're like, oh, that jingle's cute, and they have a cousin or somebody who does it for them. Right.
Right.
But you can actually have the opportunity to be like, hey, I'm going to write you a jingle with a real intention and skill. And you could even, if you have the bandwidth, make a little sample and send it to them. Be like, what do you think of this? And just start some conversations that way. And I guarantee you something will click eventually.
Yeah, that's really dope. That's really dope. Well, I definitely want to venture more into that. So I'm gonna look into that. I think that's gonna be awesome. Just before we close out, is there any other aspect that we haven't covered yet? Because I don't want to.
Oh, man. I mean, we can talk.
I know there's a lot.
Writing great songs and music production. I mean, the best thing I would say is if you want to learn more, you can get in touch with me. You can go to my website. nismahosman.com/call. We can chat. We just have a phone call.
The link will be in the description.
Yeah. Or just, you can hit me up on Instagram. I don't check it very often, but if you have questions, and we can talk again. There's so much to talk about. I don't know. It's endless.
I'll definitely bring you on with more prepared questions as well, too.
This was great. I loved it.
This is a very expanding topic, and I think it's important to talk about the business side of what artists are getting into, just so we can get a full understanding. Because a lot of artists, here on this show, we tell them you should go independent. Don't go to these record labels unless they hit you with a deal that's actually good, because
Absolutely.
everyone's getting screwed with these 360 deals and all this stuff.
Absolutely.
Those are things that we bring up when we talk about music.
And I could talk about that for an hour too. These 360 record labels, I believe they're predatory at this point.
Mm-hmm.
They really are. They're not doing any artist development. They're letting the artist do all of the grunt work, build the entire brand, and then, they're making the artist pay them to have the record deal. Because that's really what an advance is. A record label advance is a loan, a very high interest loan.
Right.
Okay. And they're taking a piece of everything you own, and they're owning your masters, and they're owning your piece of your publishing, and they're owning your copyright. So you're basically building a business. Imagine if you built a pizza business, right? And you grew it. It took you 5 years to build it, and you have this amazing company, this amazing pizza company. And then all of a sudden Pizza Hut comes and it's like, I really love your company. You give me $100,000 for it and we'll call it a deal. You'd be like, take a walk. You know what I mean? Take a hike. It's exactly what record labels are doing to independent artists. But the lure of the record deal is so shiny that it blinds people. And they're like, oh yes, here, take everything. And then 2 years later, they're back where they started. So it's really tragic, honestly.
Yep. And you hear those stories about artists that have made songs that you love, and then you find out that they're broke and they owe the record company so much money and stuff like that.
And they're trapped in these record deals. Yeah, it's really tragic.
Yeah. See, we can talk about a lot of things.
Don't get me started.
I gotta get you back on. I definitely gotta hit you up, get you back on, so we can talk about more stuff. So everyone that's listening, definitely check out Nismah's Instagram and also her website, which will be in the description below. And it's the holidays. By the time this comes out, it will be around that Christmas week. So if you celebrate Christmas, Merry Christmas. If you celebrate Kwanzaa or Hanukkah, Happy Kwanzaa, Hanukkah to you as well. Happy holidays.
Yeah, happy holidays for sure.
So thank you so much for coming on, and for everyone that's listening. And I hope everybody have a really good day. Don't forget to like, share, and
blank period, on my black, brown, and indigenous. Gotta holla if you really feeling this. Gotta holla if you really real enough. Other rappers is delirious. Yeah, it's really that serious. Better holla if you really feeling me. I gotta keep it 100, ayy. If you don't like it, then fuck it, ayy. We gonna win in the end, yeah, we gonna live in abundance. I gotta keep it 100, ayy. If you don't like it, then fuck it, ayy. We gonna win in the end, yeah, we gonna. I gotta keep it 100. We gotta stop all the stunting. You know we coming from nothing. Yo, you talking about money, you bluffing. We gotta do something different. We gotta change how we live in. We gotta do better for women. We gotta do better for children. We gotta listen to victims, whether Jewish or Muslim or Christian. It doesn't matter your religion. You gotta stand against the system, or else you just another villain.